So today I went into work and got a talking to from the manager about a conversation that I had with a coworker the last day that I worked. And of course, the manager's like, "Well, I can't tell you who said what," blah, 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 getting some complaints about things and trying to make it sound like there was more than one person. And I was like, "Well, I know exactly what you're talking about because I literally don't talk to anybody else. So I know who you talk to. I'm gaining from the conversation what was said, but it was in bad faith, these complaints. So let me tell you the beginning of the conversation that led to me saying the thing that I got talked to about." And so I did. And what was said by this coworker who then tried to complain about me was far worse than anything I said. And I explained that what I had said was more in the interest of compassion, of understanding, and that this thing that the other coworker had said, there were better and easier explanations than that. The other coworker whose shift I was covering for a birthday came in and was like, "I'm surprised to see you here." And I said, "Why do you say that?" "Well, I talked to so and so, the other employee that made the complaint, it turns out. And that person said that you would no longer be working here." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, no. The boss and I had a conversation, and I informed the boss of the rest of the story." And this coworker who I was covering for says, "Oh, yeah, that one had been fired before, had worked here before, and was a shit starter." And basically what it come to is that whole, I was told from the very outset that there was a possibility I would become management before even having an interview or knowing anything about me. Just now, since then, of course, then this manager also says, "Well, I just gave you the job because it seemed like you needed a job." And it's like, dude, do you tell every random person that applies for a job that there's a good possibility they could become the manager of the store? Because that don't make any sense. And so then I was asked not to go asking questions around about things that had been talked to me and told to me by this manager. And I'm thinking, well, okay, so I'm not allowed to find out if I'm being bullshit, lied to. Alrighty. Well, just make sure that you don't need to talk about politics. "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, and what I was talking about was not political in the slightest. This other person said that it was, but it wasn't." So basically, the thing that I complain about every time I go to a job and any good prospect opens up, any chance of me making good money, that some person just pokes their head up and decides, "Hey, you don't deserve to be here. Hey, you don't deserve to make any kind of money. I get all the whatever." That was this person that complained about me. In the conversation that I was talked to about, this person had revealed that they had previous management experience and didn't think it fair that the hours were so short and whatever, but constantly asking me about how many hours I'm getting, which none of your goddamn business. So then I informed the manager via text around the time I was closing out the shift that the other employee had come in and told me about this thing they were told that, "Oh yeah, he's not going to be working here anymore." Conniving bitch. Everywhere you go to work, there's someone like that. And I now recognize what the personality traits are. I'm not going to say it because everyone says, "Oh, you say that all the time." Well, guess what, motherfucker? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Just hiding out, waiting. You show yourself by demonstrating real empathy for someone else, and these self centered sacks of shit just take it personal. I don't know if they're jealous or upset because they don't have a fucking soul or what. So that's what happened. So yeah, I only worked 2 days this week. Really sucks for the Bills. Hoping I'll get some more hours the next week for a payday, but I don't know. So anyways, yeah, some weird hanky shit going on. I don't even know. If I lose this job, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it'll be intensely difficult for me to find employment elsewhere, but what am I going to do, you know? So, this confidence boost from this coworker that I was filling in for saying, nah, you're cool and you're a good worker, and I want you to stay, and I'm pretty sure that the boss wants you to stay. So I'm hoping that this coworker who's actually been with this gas station longer than the current ownership has owned it, the one person they kept on, maybe has some clout in the matter. Be like, look, this guy does a good job. He's eager to work. You know, I with this other one, I haven't discussed the management thing. It just kind of came out in conversation because the other one that started the drama is one of those types of people that has ways of getting you to feel like your guard can be let down and let something out, the information for them. And it's like, okay, but, you know, if anyone at this place of employment was the appropriate candidate to be the next manager in charge of the store, it's this employee that predates the ownership of the company, who knows more than anyone else, to be quite honest. And if that person does not want it, I'm all for it. But at the same time, I do recognize that this person who has been there longer, the longest, effectively, has other household concerns to tend to, a child, and an age at which being a full-time manager basically makes it impossible to spend the appropriate amount of time with your child if you're trying to raise them. That may factor in. I don't know. But, this other one, they're all exactly the same. They all think that they are the original, the first one to come up with these stale, repetitive ideas, these entirely predictable patterns. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of a master of the shit at this point. The reason I can't find employment is because you can't force people to hire you. If it was possible to force people to pay attention to the truth instead of whatever goofy bullshit they're feeling or worrying about peer pressure or what others might think, then yeah, I'd already be in charge of pretty much everything and rich to boot, right? That's the whole thing. You really can't mess with free will. My hope in this is that the troublemaker gets ousted. Maybe I pick up some extra hours that way. I've just proven tonight that I can close effectively by myself. I'm never short. It's usually a buck or two over, but all three shifts go on one till, so it's not even necessarily me causing it to be over. And it depends on the business owner, the nature of their mentality as to whether or not they think that's a good thing or a bad thing. Some places, the people that run it will say, well, you shouldn't be over because that means you're overcharging people. But everybody says keep the change, too. So at the end of let me think, 12 hours, no, it's a 15-hour day. At the end of a 15-hour day, 3 people running a till, and enough people have said keep the change on that to come up with, say, $5 over. That's probably okay. And I know the customers ain't really complaining about me. The one customer that was obviously good friends with this troublemaker employee, coworker, that had come in right before the person was leaving, probably decided at being coerced to go ahead and complain too. But one of the things I was told was don't discuss politics with the customers. So I was like, I don't. Now, if somebody comes in and says something, makes a comment, and I feel like, responding to it, I will. But I don't carry the conversation over to the next customer. Yeah, sometimes you get one person come in. It's a small farm town. You get some rednecky dudes or whatever come in, and somebody wants to talk about something, and I happen to have some insight or maybe agree and say, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I feel you. And if somebody else comes walking in the door at the same time and goes around the back and heads for the cooler to get something or whatever, conversation ain't with them. The conversation ain't about them. Conversation never had to do with them. And if I don't continue the conversation with them, there's really no complaint to be had, especially given the nature of the content of any of these conversations that happen, because I happen to have a lot of customer service experience and I know how to not talk about things you're not supposed to. So anyways, ultimately what it comes down to is supposedly all the cameras in the store have microphones on them, and if it really comes down to a my word versus someone else's word thing, I'll just be like, why don't you go to the cameras? And like I said, if they don't want to play that and they want to let me go, that's fine. That'll be their loss. The pattern follows that the places I get booted from for these unfair reasons collapse. Not because of me, but because of karma. So anyways, my night at work was okay. We had a tornado warning for the entire county, and the sky was mean and angry. And I was going to try and record some of the drive home with this insane lightning going on, and it just, because of the brightness of the headlights and the foreframe, couldn't pick up on any of it. But did get a little bit of pea-sized hail here after I got home, and while I was stuck at work, the tornado warning was to expire about the time the store was to close, and I had about 10 minutes to go finishing up and everything, and the storm really came through. I managed to get everything done. The business completely fell off at the point at which the tornado warning happened, which is fine because that gave me a chance to get everything in line and not be out too late. But, yeah. It simply happens everywhere that I go. I don't think it's about me, especially in particular at this point. I think it is just the nature of me, the way that I am. And like I said, these other ones, these freaking snakes, they can't help themselves. They're not self-aware. They're not in control of themselves. They are guided by pathology. And while that may not be their fault, the consequences that affect me are not my fault either. But they still affect me, which means consequences must affect them as well. So yeah. Didn't expect to within the first month of this minimal hours, not excessive pay gas station clerk job that I would be already facing down with some bullshit. But like I said, everywhere I go, it's the same. There's always at least one of these pieces of shit. And, I'm sorry. If you're going to try and get me gone, which basically makes it so that I can't pay my bills, I'll get you gone instead. That's all there is to it. Good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Fair is fair. Turnabout is fair play, and all is fair in love and war. And man, let me tell you, don't go to war with a berserker. You're going to lose. Hope everybody else had a good day. Happy Father's Day and all that. And, yeah, we're going to see what the upcoming week holds as far as my livelihood goes. Whether somebody else's idiocy in games make it more difficult for me to live, make it back to the point where I have to basically beg for help. Because I don't think anybody's really interested in helping me again at this point. Just, it went on for so long, and it's like, well, I don't understand. Well, sorry, dude. Like I said, I can't force them to hire me. I may be qualified, I may be intelligent and capable and a fast learner and a great person with customer service and all this other stuff, but all these other people are in one way or another mind controlled or peer pressured into a certain way of thought or a certain kind of fear. There's literally nothing I can do about that. You cannot force people to do things. It just doesn't work that way. Not without threats and coercion. And guess what? All that does is get the cops called. So anyways, good news with all of this rain. In closing, so far no flooding.